The night inside the fortress grew heavier, pressing down on Arman like chains. The torches he lit had all gone out by themselves, leaving him in shadows that seemed alive. His hand trembled as he clutched the glowing sword. The whispers around him had grown louder, some mocking, some crying, others screaming in agony. And then, the air shifted. From the broken courtyard he heard the sound of horses' hooves pounding against stone. Arman froze. The fortress was abandoned. There couldn't be horses here. But when he looked, his heart stopped. They were riders. Warriors clad in armor blackened by fire, their faces pale and hollow, eyes burning red like embers. Their horses had no flesh, only bones wrapped in smoke. The battlefield had come alive. Arman's breath caught in his throat. "This isn't real," he whispered. "This is a dream." But the ground beneath him shook. The warriors raised their swords and charged. Arman's instincts took over. He raised his blade. Sparks erupted as the first ghostly sword clashed with his. The impact sent a wave of cold fire through his arm, almost knocking him down. But he stood his ground. One strike, another, a dozen more. Every swing of his glowing sword scattered shadows, but for each ghost he cut down, another rose in its place. Their battle cries were deafening, an army of the dead, fighting the same war over and over again. Arman stumbled backward, his chest heaving. "Why are you attacking me?" he shouted. And that was when he heard it. A voice, deep and commanding, echoing through the fortress walls. "Because you are one of us now." Arman spun around. At the center of the battlefield stood a towering figure. His armor was unlike the others, gold, though tarnished with blood. His helmet bore the crest of a lion, and his sword was massive, glowing with accursed fire. The Ghost King. Arman's legs almost gave out. He remembered the stories told in whispers of a great warlord who had betrayed his men, cursed to lead them in battle for eternity. The fortress wasn't just haunted, it was his prison. The Ghost King raised his sword, pointing it at Arman. "You carry the blade of the fallen. By taking it, you accepted the curse. You will fight until eternity claims you." Arman's grip on his sword tightened. "No, I won't." The Ghost King's laughter shook the air. "Then fight me, mortal. If you can defeat me, the curse may release you. If not, you belong to the shadows." The warriors around them stepped back, forming a circle. The battlefield had chosen its duel. Arman steadied his breath. His father had trained him in the art of war. He knew how to fight men. But this was no man. The Ghost King struck first. His blade came down like thunder, the impact rattling the stones beneath Arman's feet. Arman barely dodged, rolling across the ground, sparks flying from his glowing sword as he blocked the next strike. The force of the blows was unbearable. Each clash drained his strength, each movement heavier than the last. The whispers in his head grew louder, trying to break him. "Give up. You cannot win. You are already dead." Arman screamed and swung with all his might. His blade cut across the Ghost King's chest, splitting the cursed armor. The king staggered, but instead of falling, he laughed. "Good," the king growled, "but strength alone will not save you. To defeat me, you must face the truth." Arman's heart pounded. "What truth?" The king's eyes burned brighter. "The truth of why you returned here. You say you came home, but was home you sought, or redemption for your sins?" Arman faltered. His guard dropped for a moment, and the Ghost King's sword struck him across the side. Pain like fire ripped through him, and he fell to his knees. Blood soaked his armor. The whispers grew louder, hissing in triumph. "Lost! He is lost!" But then, amidst the noise, he heard another voice, softer, familiar. His mother's voice. "Arman, my son, rise. Do not let the shadows claim you." Tears burned his eyes. His mother had died when he was young, but the memory of her strength filled him. Gritting his teeth, Arman pushed himself to his feet. "No curse, no king will decide my fate." With a roar he charged. Their swords met again and again, the battlefield echoing with steel and screams. The warriors around them cheered, their hollow voices rising like a storm. Finally, with one desperate strike, Arman drove his glowing sword through the Ghost King's chest. The battlefield went silent. The Ghost King staggered, looking at him with burning eyes. And then he smiled. "You are stronger than I thought," he whispered. "But this is not the end. You have opened the gate. The curse has only begun." With those words, the Ghost King dissolved into smoke. The army of spirits vanished into the shadows. Arman fell to his knees, panting. His sword still glowed, but its light flickered like a dying flame. He looked around the empty fortress. Alone again. But the silence was worse than the battle. And deep in the dark, he heard the faint sound of chains dragging across stone. Something else had awakened, something far more dangerous. The fortress was not done with him yet. The fortress lay in silence. Arman's chest heaved as he leaned against a cracked wall, his glowing sword still warm in his trembling hand. His body ached from the battle with the Ghost King. Blood trickled down his side, but he was alive, for now. The whispers that once filled the air were gone. The battlefield of spirits had vanished, leaving only the ruins and the night's heavy chill. But the silence was not peace. It was a warning. Arman's breath slowed as he listened. Somewhere deep within the fortress, a faint sound echoed, like chains dragging across stone. Slow, relentless. Clink. 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 Arman tightened his grip on his sword. "Not again," he muttered. The voice of the Ghost King rang in his memory. "You have opened the gate. The curse has only begun." A heavy wind swept through the courtyard, carrying with it the stench of death. The torches on the walls flickered back to life by themselves, flaming black instead of gold. The fortress was awakening. Arman staggered to his feet, forcing himself deeper inside. Hallways stretched before him, covered in carvings of battles long forgotten. The faces of warriors were etched into the stone, yet now their eyes seemed to move, watching him as he passed. He came upon a massive chamber, its walls cracked but still standing tall. In the center stood a colossal statue, half buried in rubble. A warrior in chains, his face twisted in agony, his arms raised toward the heavens. Arman's heartbeat quickened. Something about the statue felt alive. And then, the ground shook. The chains carved into the statue rattled. Slowly, impossibly, the stone began to break apart. Cracks spread across the figure like veins of fire. With a deafening roar, the statue moved. The Dark One had awakened. A giant shadow rose from the broken stone, towering above Arman. Its eyes were endless voids, its mouth dripping with black fire. Unlike the Ghost King, this was no soldier bound by honor. This was something older, deeper. A being of pure curse. The chains that bound it fell to the ground with a crash. "You," the creature voice thundered, "the one who carries the blade. You are the key. You are the reason I rise." Arman stumbled back. What are you? The being's laughter echoed like thunder. I am the curse itself. The Ghost King was but my servant. You thought you defeated him, foolish warrior. You freed me. Arman stumbled back. His stomach twisted. His fight hadn't ended. It had unleashed something far worse. The Dark One's massive hands slammed onto the ground, shaking the chamber. The black flames spread across the floor, climbing the walls, consuming everything they touched. Arman coughed, choking on the smoke. If you want me, you'll have to fight me. The shadow's laughter grew louder. Fight. No, you will be